What's up, everybody? It's Patrick, one half of the Split Decisions podcast. I don't got Justin with me here today, but I did want to just run down a little recap of what happened last night at UFC Louisville. With the first fight, we had Pua Tomar against Ryan Amanda. Decent scrap between these ladies. Tomar actually showed some decent skills on the feet. She was using that side kick pretty effectively. I thought Ryan Amanda won the fight, but the judges gave it to the debut. Nothing much we can do about it. But I think she showed good grit. I did think Ryan Amanda did what she needed to do to win the fight, but ultimately didn't get the decision. Um, in the next fight, we got Taylor Lapilus, who took on Cody Stamen. Pretty much played out exactly how we called it on the pod. Um, Taylor Lapilus was able to use his range and his kickboxing abilities to just land the damaging strikes, the more damaging strikes on Cody Stamen. Cody Stamen wasn't really able to get off his wrestling, as much wrestling as he would have liked. Lapilus was able to use that takedown defense and keep it on the feet until the third round. Then later rounds, he did get taken down, but Cody Stamen wasn't really able to do nothing with the top control to even win the round. So the judges ended up giving Taylor Lapilus 30-27 on all cards. Pretty unanimous and a pretty dominating win by Lapilus. In the third fight, we had Denise Gomez, who took on the debut Eduardo Mora. I did call Denise Gomez on the pod at plus money. I believe she was around plus 160. She fought the exact fight she needed to win the fight. She was able to did get taken down and controlled a little bit, but was able to do enough on the feet when she got it back up to land the more damaging strikes. And then later in the fight, Eduardo really faded out and wasn't able to really do anything with her grappling at that point. Um, so Denise ended up getting that one by split decisions on the judges' scorecards. On this fourth fight, we had Daniel Marcos versus John Castaneda. I did call John Castaneda on this fight, but he was not able to get any type of wrestling going. Marcos was able to use that range, was clearly the better striker. Um, I definitely slept on Marcos in this fight. I and I've been high on Marcos, so ultimately I paid for my pick. But Marcos did show a lot of improvements just simply off of I think his volume, being able to maintain a pace and actually put shots in Castaneda's face, wasn't too threatened by the wrestling. And at that point, he was able to just land the cleaner, more damaging shots on the feet, drop Castaneda a couple times, and actually had a really good performance. So shout out to Daniel Marcos. In this next fight, we had Montana De La Rosa against Andrea Lee. This was actually a rematch. Um, MDLR was able to get her lick back on Andrea Lee. So it's one between these two girls now. Um, and it actually surprised me. Montana De La Rosa was outstriking Andrea Lee on the feet. Um, I kind of seen Andrea Lee having the advantage in that realm. Um, but even Montana De La Rosa mixing in her takedowns, I feel like caused a problem for Andrea Lee, just giving her something to think about. Um, but ultimately did enough to win that fight. So shout out to her. What we got in this next one? We had Brad Katana against Jesse Butler, and he pretty much went out and did what Brad Katana does, win a decision, which I'm really surprised he wasn't able to get Jesse Butler out of there. He had him pretty beat up going into that third round. Even in second round, he probably was laying enough damage if he could have put something together on top. Maybe could have got him out of there, but Katana is just super controlled positionally. Once he gets a good position on top, he'd rather take that round than potentially giving up the position and putting himself in a more awkward spot that he may not be as comfortable in. So ultimately, he did what he had to do. Was a good performance by him. Um, we had Protez against Charles Racky, and Protez, after that fight, I feel like Protez is gonna be a problem. That knee was super clean to the body to put Racky down. Um, he showed some good. He showed some good stuff last night. Definitely impressed with Carlos Prates. I thought Racky was going to be able to dog it out a little bit more. I actually took the over 1.5 in that fight, which that didn't cash for me. But ultimately, a very impressive performance by Carlos Prates. In the next fight, we had Ludovic Klein against Thiago Moises. He was able to get the job done pretty easy, I would say. Not easy, but did it in a pretty dominant fashion. Had Thiago Moises hurt on the feet a couple times. Moises wasn't really able to get any jiu-jitsu or any wrestling going, so as we called on the pod, Klein was just a way better striker. He was physical enough to keep it on the feet and just land those damaging shots. Hurt him to the body a couple times, couple good knees. It was definitely impressed by what I seen from Ludovic Klein. On to the next one. Punahele Soriano against Miguel Baeza. I wasn't really sure what to expect from this fight. We had Punahele Soriano coming down to 170 from his original weight class at 185. Miguel Baeza coming off a 2-year layoff. Fought horribly, to say the least. I mean, fight IQ was shown. He was rolling ankle lock. He was rolling for an ankle lock or a knee bar or something and got hit 30 times in the face while going for it. Might have been the dumbest thing I've ever seen in a fight, but ultimately Soriano did cash at that big dog price. I did not play it, but shout out to the people who did. And shout out to Soriano. He had a really good performance. Used that wrestling, mixed it up on him. Just had good top control and good damage on top too. He wasn't just laying on top of him. He was getting his shots off, and ultimately probably could have finished Baeza, but train pass. Ultimately, probably could have finished Baeza, but wasn't able to get it done. Still an impressive performance. Zach Reese. We did call Zach Reese. I wasn't super confident on it, but just that dog money against Marquez, who really is like a first round or bust type of dude, in my opinion, from what I've saw. So I was willing to take the dog shot on Zach Reese, and he came out and looked phenomenal. Finished Marquez in under 60 seconds, first round KO. Made a statement, and shout out to Zach Reese for that one. On the next one, Bruno Ferreira versus Dustin Stoltzfus. Bruno Ferreira looked good. Showed some questions there early. Stoltzfus was able to get him down, cause some scrambles on the ground. Ultimately, Ferreira was able to get back on the feet and landed a clean spinning elbow that rocked Stoltzfus. Was able to follow it up with some more shots and get him out of there in the first. So good showing by Bruno Ferreira. In the not the co-main event, Raul Rojas Jr. against Ricky Tercios. Ricky Tercios came out hot. Looked like he was going to be a little bit too much for Rojas. Was able to create some scrambles. Outstruck him in the first round. Actually won the fight on the judges' score. 2 of the judges' scorecards in the first round. But ultimately, Raul Rojas Jr. was able to grab that back, sink in the rear naked choke submission in the second round. So shout out to him. Definitely needed a good performance just to keep that hype going. And yeah, but on this co-main event, Dominic Reyes versus Dustin Jacoby. I had a feeling they was being a little bit disrespectful on the Reyes money line. Dustin Jacoby has shit the bed in fights before. I ultimately did expect him to get the win in this fight just off recency. Dominic Reyes hasn't been looking too well in his past 4 fights, but came out, turned the tides on him, was able to knock Jacoby out early. So shout out to him for getting back in that win bracket. Main event, super early stoppage in the main event. I do feel like Herzog made a mistake. Cannonier was obviously hurt in that 4th round, but we've seen Cannonier get hurt before. We've seen him rain a storm. We've seen him recover. He was up on 2 judges' scorecards going into that 4th round. So even if he loses that 4th, potentially a 10-9, even if it was a 10-8, he could have fought that 5th round for a potential draw or a potential win. So I felt like that wasn't super fair. Um, could have let him go a little bit longer on that one, but ultimately Imavov did get the win in the fight. So shout out to Nasruddin Imavov, a big win for him. Hopefully he can get that Sean Strickland rematch that he's been calling for. But yeah, I just wanted to do a quick recap on how UFC Fight Night Louisville went last night. I appreciate y'all watching the video, and stay tuned for the breakdown this week.